Shalom Israel. Today's class will be titled So You're Saved, Really. Once again, So You Are Saved, Really. Now, many of us, as you know, when you speak to Christians and people who claim that they're in the book, their first thing to say is that I'm saved, I'm born again, and all of these other things that we've become familiar with in these many lands where we have been held captive. We're familiar with that I'm born again, I'm a born again Christian, I'm a New Testament Christian, and all these different things. And I'm saved. That's one of the main things I get a whole lot. I'm saved by the blood of the Lamb, etc., etc. So the first thing we must ask ourselves now, first of all, if you're going to be saved, you've got to be in trouble. You've got to be in peril somehow. Okay. Uh, and if you're going to be saved, you're either going to be saved from something or you're going to be saved from someone. Okay. So once again, if we're going to be saved, we have to be in danger. First of all, we have to be in some form of peril, and we would need to be saved from something or someone. Secondly, the person that's going to save us is technically a savior. Okay, so he's going to be a savior to whomever is being saved. So we must consider exactly who we're being saved from uh, and what we're being saved from. Now, some of the people from the other nations, uh, especially those who have held us captive, their thing is, well, I'm going to be saved. Now, let's kind of put this thing in perspective. They have everything. Those who have held us captive, they have all the gold, all the diamonds, all the precious minerals of the earth, the oils, etc. They control all of these things. Okay, they've had the world in their dominion for quite some time, so they lack absolutely nothing. Uh, and if you're going to be saved, you have to be in distress. Okay, you have to be in peril. So therefore, when they say I'm saved from what? By whom? You have everything. If you're going to be saved, you're going to have to be in distress and in need of being saved, i.e., the children of Israel throughout the face of the earth. We're scattered everywhere. We're in distress. We're at the bottom of the barrel of every nation. We're mistreated in every nation that we're in. So indeed, we need a Savior, and that Savior is the Most High Himself. Uh, so no one is going to be saved unless you're in dire need and in distress. So the other nation that claim to, oh, they're going to be saved from what? They have everything. They've had dominion over us for some time and the earth as a whole. So they have no need to be saved from anything. So keep that in mind. Uh, let's go ahead and flip your books to Isaiah 45:22. Isaiah 45:22. All right. Isaiah 45 verse 22. Let's read that. And it reads, Look upon me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God and there is none else. So if you're looking to be saved, you need to look upon the Most High and none else. Any other Savior, once again, I've mentioned in previous videos, is just a figment of your imagination. There's no one else that's come to save the house of Israel but the Most High Himself. So you look upon Him to be saved. Okay? And the means in which you do that is by returning to His laws, statutes, and His commandments. There's no other way to be saved but to return back onto His laws and obey them. There's no other way to do that. So says this book. Okay? So we need to find exactly who this is coming to save us. Who is the Savior? We've already discussed in previous videos who that Savior is. Once again, it is the Most High Himself. But mostly today we're going to look into the book of Jeremiah. So let's look over at Jeremiah 23, verse 3. Let's look at that book for a second. Jeremiah 23, verse 3. And it reads, And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their foes, and they shall be fruitful and increase. So now, you must understand that Israel was scattered into all nations of the earth by the Most High Himself. Such a thing as Jesus scattering no one any place. Neither is He coming to get anyone. Okay? The Most High is the one that scattered Israel, and the Most High will gather us from all these nations where we have been scattered. So let me read that again. And I, that's singular, will gather the remnant of my flock. The flock is Israel, the nation of Israel. So if He's gathering the flock, it is plain to see that He also is that shepherd. This is the Most High Himself. You understand? And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their foes, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Most High. Right now, our shepherds, who happen to be these crooked and no law abiding pastors that you so much love, those are who our shepherds are. And these are the very individuals that have led us astray. Okay? So even if you look through the book of Ezra, with all that was being done, all the transgressions of the law that was being done, and they had to go back and, do away with the strange wives and things like this, and the strange children that they were having, the house of Israel. It was made to where the leaders of Israel had to do it first because they were the ones that were leading people astray. So understand that our leaders, okay, our pastors are pretty much some of the ones who are leading folks off a cliff. But most of us are not diligent enough, or not taking the time to study and make sense of this book to understand if we are being led astray. So we must pay attention to these things. Okay, so the Most High have scattered us, and He will be the one that gathers us. And you should be looking for no one else, because He says clearly there is none else. All right. So we read here clearly in verse 4. All right. Jeremiah 23, verse 4. All right. He says, I will set up shepherds. These are leaders. These are your pastors. Okay, if you will. Over them which shall feed them. Feed them what? Feed them knowledge. Obviously, it's not food. Okay? And that knowledge being the laws, etc., of the Most High and the ways of the Most High. Now they shall fear no more, because we are a people that's in constant fear. Nor be dismayed. We're dismayed of just about everything, including the way we're treated. Neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord. So we're lacking everything. We're poor. Most of us will be lacking education and all the necessities of life in the different lands where we have been scattered. And we also get no respect from the peoples who have oppressed us. This is commonplace throughout the earth. So all of these things will certainly be removed once we do what needs to be done. Now let's flip your books to Jeremiah. We're still in Jeremiah 23. Let's go from Jeremiah 23 and jump to verse 32. And we'll look at these prophets, these preachers, etc. And it says here, Behold, I'm against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord. And do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their likeness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord. So, these prophets who are telling you about Jesus and Sunday worship and celebrating Christmas with you and big old tree in the church and all this other foolishness, the ways of these heathens, they're causing you to err. These things are in error. They are contrary to the Most High. He is against them and He's against it. Okay, so you need to stop following this foolishness. All right, so you must understand that these prophets profit you not. These churches and these pastors. Okay, they're not doing anything that will ever profit this people. Who are this people? These people are you. Okay, Israelites. So these were the ways of the heathens will be of no profit to us. It is of no avail to us whatsoever. So we really need to separate ourselves from this nonsense. All right. Jeremiah, let's go ahead and jump your books, flip chapters to Jeremiah 11, verse 17. Just going to go through a few verses and chapters in the book of Jeremiah. Once again, Jeremiah 11, verse 17. And it reads, For the Lord of hosts that planted thee, that pronounced evil against thee, for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves, to provoke me to anger in offering incense to Baal. Once again, you have all type of gods in this book and deities in this book. You got Tamuz in this book. You got Baal in this book. Uh, you have them in here. You also have Molech in this book. They're in here. You have Jesus Christ in this book. You have the Most High in this book. You have to be able to discern exactly who is who and whom you are to serve, because it's pretty much a confusing mix, and you're not to take it at face value. You are to read it, you are to study it, you are to discern it, and you are to return to these laws. Okay, so once again, excuse me, as we read it here, that evil has been pronounced against the house of Israel. So all the things that we're experiencing, the hangings, the burnings, the shootings, uh, the blatant disrespect, the name calling in all the nations that we experience, the harsh treatment, all of this is part of that evil that has been pronounced against us. Why? Following false gods, following deities, okay, that can profit us, excuse me, in no way, shape, or form. Same thing here. Okay, the Most High pronounces evil because back in the old days, we're following Baal. Today we're following, JC and all these other craziness. And that's why we're still in this condition. So we have to remove ourselves from these false gods and understand that we are the house of Israel and we're to follow one God. And that is the Most High Himself. He has no sidekicks, no partners. It is a solo act. This we must understand. Okay? Now, let's go to, everyone speaks of this lamb. Let's go to Jeremiah 11 and verse 19. Now, as we look at Jeremiah 11, verse 19, it reads, But I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter, and I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, Let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living, that his name may be no more remembered. Now, to cut someone off from the land of the living, this is what has happened to Israel. Okay, we have been cut off. We have been removed. Our inheritance has been discontinued. That is why you can ask a black man in any nation of the earth that's been scattered. He doesn't have his own name. He doesn't know where he's from. And he speaks the language of his captors. And he does not take it to heart. Okay, this is what has happened to Israel. Okay, now when you think of Israel, you have to be cognizant of certain facts. Number one, when you speak of Israel, you must think of Israel in three parts. Number one, Israel the man. Okay, Israel the man who is Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel after wrestling with an angel. So we must think of Israel in three parts. One, Israel the man. Two, Israel the offspring of the man, i.e. his sons. Okay, so his seed. All right, and also Israel the land mass, the geographical location. So when you hear the term Israel, you should think of one, Jacob. Okay, two, the descendants of Israel, i.e. the 12 tribes who are of Jacob's bloodline, who are of Israel's bloodline. And three, you must think of the land mass of Israel. And you must understand that when we speak of Israel, this is not an all-inclusive thing. This is specifically a bloodline of people who have had certain experiences that's documented throughout this book. So in order for you to claim to be of Israel, okay, which makes you an Israelite, not an Israeli. You must understand exactly what took place in your past, because it's right here for you to read. And if you read it carefully and discern it, you will realize clearly that that man that's saying that he is an Israeli is not of the house of Israel. Now, most of your Christian individuals here in the United States and other places, uh, they're of this fact, or they feel it's fact, that this man is indeed the sons of Jacob. And right now, everything is hung upon that notion. That's it. Okay. Now, once this man is removed out of this land, okay, and he will be according to this book, then they're going to be forced to reconsider. Okay. They're going to be forced to reconsider. Okay, well, we thought that these people, we supported them, we gave them weapons. Now, think of this. Okay. If you read this book carefully and you understand it, at what time in history ever did the nation of Israel have to have armaments and weapons from any other nation? At what time did that ever happen in history? According to the documented history in this book, it has never happened. Okay? Israel has never depended upon another nation to protect itself. It has never happened. Or depended on their arms to protect themselves. It has never happened. Okay? The nation of Israel is protected by the Most High Himself. Okay? They do not need armaments and weapons from other nations to defend themselves. It has never been. So, just with that notion alone, you know good and well it's simply not them. All right? Because most high people are scattered people. Okay? And they're dark skinned black people. Uh, and this can be substantiated in this book. So, there's no way in the world that these people are the house of Israel. And once that is made clear, then all the other nations will take notice and they will become fearful. Because now, if they're not, then who is it? Well, we're telling you exactly who we are because that has been brought to our remembrance. Okay, so you're hearing it from me and you will hear it from other Israelites who will be popping up everywhere. Okay, because what we're going to do is tear down all these vain imaginations you've got, and you're going to be forced to deal with the facts. And your fate, your end, does not look good. So you better take heed to what we're saying, especially to those of you who are of the house of Israel that want to side with your enemies. Okay? So you better take heed to that. Once again, let's go to, I want to say, Jeremiah 11:19. That's where we're going originally. Let's get back on track. Jeremiah 11, verse 19. And it reads, "But I was like an ox, like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter. And I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, Let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living, that his name may be no more in remembrance. Be no more remembered. But, O Lord of hosts, that judgest righteously, that triest the reins of the heart, let me see thy vengeance on them. For unto thee have I revealed my cause." So all of those who have tried to cut us off, who have stripped us of our names, our language, our heritage, and have put their names on our backs, okay, uh, their end does not look good, because if you're messing with the people of the Most High, the chosen of the Most High, His children, you better believe there's a recompense for that, okay? And He tells you exactly what that is in Joel 3. Once again, you can also read the book of Obadiah. So those who have done this to us, their end does not look good. Okay, and they will see that end because He is true to His word. So let's be mindful of that. Let's go to Jeremiah 16, verse 13. Like I said, we're just going to go through the book of Jeremiah on this lesson. All right. Now, it says here clearly at 16, Jeremiah 16, verse 13, "Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will show you no mercy or no favor." Let me read that. "Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you mercy. So now, here we are in these lands, okay, serving other gods day and night. Some of us doing it 3, 4 times a week. Okay, you know who you are in these churches. And we're not being shown any favor and any mercy in these lands. All right. And we are more faithful to our quote unquote faith, if you will, than anyone else on the planet. So we're out here serving these false gods and we are asleep to this fact. All right. And we're not being shown any favor. Okay. So keep these things in mind that we are in the land. We are in the land of our enemies and we must be mindful of this. All right. Now let's go to Jeremiah, same chapter. Actually, let's go to Jeremiah 16, verse 10 through 13. Jeremiah 16, verse 10 through 13. Let's back it up. Okay. Verse 10 reads in Jeremiah 16. It shall come to pass, when thou shalt show this people all these words, that they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is it, or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God? Then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. Okay? So you must keep the laws of the Most High. And ye, verse 12 reads, and ye have done worse than your fathers. For behold, ye walk everyone after the imagination of his evil heart, that they may not hearken unto me. Okay, and that's when verse 13 comes in. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you mercy. Okay, so the reason why we were in trouble in the past is the same reason why we are in trouble today, because we are in the same behaviors. We are serving gods that we're not supposed to serve. And I've mentioned in the last video, you have to think, okay, when Israel had the dominion over the earth, okay, all those who were subjected to the rule of Israel, whose God did they serve? Okay, they had to serve the God of Israelites. Simple as that. Okay, so, and it's no different in the future when we have dominion. When we have the dominion, the only God they're going to serve is the Most High, because that's our God. So if we're ruling, you serve our God. What makes you think this man is going to rule and he's not going to give you his God? So it's his dominion, it's his time to rule, so you're going to have to follow his God because he's ruling. He has dominion. So therefore, don't be foolish enough to think, that you and your enemies are going to serve the same God. It's foolish. It's just foolish. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so he has dominion. He's going to force his God upon you, and that he has done. And we foolishly follow it, some of us. Okay, or we have at some point until we've been brought to wake up. So therefore, we know now when we have rulership in the kingdom, okay, those who are under our foot, if you will be serving our God, who is the Most High himself. All right, so keep that in mind. There's no the guy rules and give you another God. He who is ruling gives you his God. It's really that simple. If he has dominion, he gives you his God. It doesn't work the other way around. So as we study and we read and we try to discern all of this, we must also do some kind of some thinking as it relates to how things actually work. All right, if this man has dominion, he's not going to give you his God. He's not going to give you your God. He's going to give you his. Especially when he knows if you get a hold of your God, that his reign is over. So be mindful of that. All right, now if we jump to verse 18 in Jeremiah 16, it reads, "And first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land, they have filled mine inheritance with the carcass of their detestable and abominable things. So now we are being made to pay double. Okay, we're paying double for what we have done. Uh, Detestable things into the temple, and just blatantly breaking the laws of the Most High. So for all of these things, we will pay. But with that being said, for all that's done to us by our enemies, they too will pay. Okay, so keep that in mind. What goes around kind of comes around in a way. All right. Now, as it goes back to being in the land of your enemies, okay, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17, and we'll start off at verse 4. Okay, and it reads, get a sip of water real quick. All right. And it reads, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Same thing coming out of Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. Same thing. But we're looking at Jeremiah. So you will see that there's consistency with these prophets. Okay? Let's go ahead and start it again. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in a land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. So if your heart departs from the Most High, that means one thing, that your heart and your mind is no longer in accordance with his law. Okay? So what has happened is we have found ourselves cursed because we no longer serve him. We no longer follow his law. Okay, we're following laws of these other gods and these other peoples, these heathens, those who have oppressed us. Okay, and so therefore we have departed, and we trust in man. All right, we're not leaning on the words of the Most High. So if we're going to be saved, we have to lean on the words of the Most High. That is paramount. It must be done. Okay. Now let's go to Jeremiah 15 and 21. So I'm gonna pop through Jeremiah here and there. Jeremiah 15, verse 21, it reads, and I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. So, if you're going to be delivered, if you're going to be redeemed, notice he said he's going to redeem, get us out of the hands of the wicked and the terrible. Well, we find ourselves in the bottom of the barrel in all these lands. Okay? So, we are at the bottom of the barrel, and we're suffering all types of, I want to say, collateral damage, if you will, for what we have done. So, therefore, since we're at the bottom of the barrel, we're afflicted, okay? We are the ones that need to be saved, all right? And he's going to save us out of the hands of the terrible, all right? So, who would that terrible be? Who would we need to be saved from? Okay, so these are some of the things you need to think about. Like I said before, if you're going to be saved, you have to be saved by someone, first of all, okay? And you need to be saved from someone or something or both. All right. So he says clearly here what he's going to do. I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked. We're in someone's hands right now. We're in the hands of the wicked. It's simple as that. Okay. And I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. Terrible things have been done to us. You better believe it. Okay. So he's going to get us out of this mess. Him personally, no one else. Okay. So we're going to be redeemed. We're going to get out of this mess. But only a fraction of us will make it because most of us will not return to these laws. Okay? So you must keep that in mind. All right. Now let's go to Jeremiah 17, verse 4 and 5. Because we're still in the book of Jeremiah. I'm just going to go through Jeremiah really quick in this lesson. All right. We've done Jeremiah. We've done that already. 17. Let me flip. Jeremiah 31. Let's go to Jeremiah 31 and verse 7. Jeremiah 31 and verse 7. And it reads, For thus saith the Lord, sing with gladness for Jacob, that's Israel, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Lord, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Okay, a remnant is just a small fraction of what used to be the whole. Okay, now it reads in verse 8, Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and will bring them, the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. Verse 9, They shall come with weeping and with supplication will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. Okay? Not stumble meaning they're going to walk within the law. Okay? For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Okay? Israel, Ephraim, same thing. Okay, so Israel is his firstborn. There is no other firstborn but Israel. Okay, and he repeats that here again. All right, you can also find that in Exodus 4, verse 22. All right, Israel is his firstborn, and that's it. There's no other firstborn but that. The firstborn son of the Most High. So once again, he's going to cause us to walk straight. Okay, if you're walking crooked or you're walking in darkness, meaning you're not in compliance with his laws. So he's going to cause us to walk straight. All right, and he says here we will come weeping with supplications. Why? Because we're going to realize exactly what we have done. Because he's going to have to reveal to us exactly who we are. He's going to do it in greater clarity. And what we've done as far as going against his laws. And yes, we hurt the Most High when we went against his laws and caused him to have to punish us for it. Those of you who have kids, when your kids go against your law and you have to whoop them, that's a painful thing. No parent like to whoop their child. Okay. So therefore, when you do that, that is a grievous thing. It's a painful thing to do. Okay. And it's no different. And when the kid gets a little older and realize what you have done and what, and the pain that they may have caused their parents, then it can cause them to weep and ask for forgiveness and that sort of thing. So this is pretty much what you're going to have here. All right. The house of Israel is going to wake up to who they are. The Most High is going to show us some things that we possibly did not know. Okay. And then we're going to break down and realize where we have been wrong. Okay. And how we have hurt him. And that's why he had to hurt us. It's really simple to understand. Okay. So, excuse me. Now let's go to verse 10. Verse 10, we're at verse 10, chapter 31 of Jeremiah. Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. Now, he who scattered Israel. Who scattered Israel? Did Jesus scatter Israel? The answer to that is no. Will Jesus gather Israel? The answer to that is no. The Most High scattered Israel. The Most High himself will gather Israel. Once again, that sheep that was taken to slaughter is the house of Israel. It is not Jesus. Let's get this thing clear because you're getting mixed up with this thing. Okay? Understand that that sheep that's been taken to slaughter is the house of Israel. All right, and we're getting slaughtered to this day in many nations that we're in. It's a punishment. Simple as that. And all we have to do to stop it is to return back onto the laws of the Most High. It's really, really that simple. Okay? So once again, let's reread verse 10. Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. So the shepherd here is the Most High. Okay? That's who the shepherd is. And the flock is the nation, the house of Israel. All 12 tribes of them. Okay? That's why he said clearly to return unto him, Deuteronomy 30, us and our children. Because if we return and our children don't, then that seed dies. The house of Israel will no longer continue. And he's not going to let that happen. It's not going to happen. Us and our children must return. All right, because this seed that he promised to Abraham and established his covenant with Isaac, this is forever. So no matter what they do, they can never kill us all. It's impossible. Most High will not allow it. Okay. So us and our children, we must return back onto the Most High. We just can't do it by ourselves, because if we do it and they don't, then the seed and the bloodline does not continue. It's really that simple, and that will not happen. Promise you, it won't happen. Okay, so now we're going to look at it. Let's jump down to verse 11. For the Lord has redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. So once again, to be ransomed, to be saved, okay? If I need to be saved, obviously it's a position to where I can't possibly save myself. Okay, so we're going to be saved. We are. But we're going to have to put ourselves in a position to be saved. And how we'll do that is return to the laws of the Most High. Because once we do that, that's our halfway point. Okay, we have to meet him to that regard. We have to meet him to where we will return to the laws. Once we do that, then he will return and get us. It's not as I'm just going to come get you just because. Okay, once again, you read Deuteronomy 30, he makes this very clear that the stipulation is return unto my laws, you and your children, with all your heart and soul, and then I will return and get you from all these nations where I've scattered you. Okay, he said nothing about sending Jesus. It never said anything that he was Jesus or any nonsense like this. Okay, so you better make sure when you read, you start thinking in that process. All right, now we just read 7. Let's jump to 31. And we've covered that. All right. 1 second. Okay, let's look at verse 13, same chapter. Jeremiah 31, verse 13. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together. For I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them and make them rejoice from their sorrows. All right. Now, when you think of it, all right, we are the people that's we're in sorrow. We're the ones that are poor. We're afflicted. We're oppressed. We're all these things. So when we are to return to his laws and be saved by him, then uh, our happiness will be restored. Everything will be stored unto us, and he will put us in a position that's better than our fathers, all right, or our forefathers from years past. Okay, so things will be better for us once we do these things. So kind of be mindful of that we must return onto these laws, and then our joy will be restored. Because right now we have none. We may think we do, but according to the Most High, we don't have that right now. And we'll also be returned back to our own borders. Right now we're in these foreign lands. We will be taken back to where we actually came from. All right, let's look at verse 17. Matter of fact, let's go to verse 16. Thus saith the Lord. We're in Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 16. Okay, thus saith the Lord, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thine eyes from tears, for thy work shall be rewarded, saith the Lord, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. So once again, the Most High is telling you, in all these lands where we are in the lands of our enemies. Okay, so I'm not saying this, the Most High is telling you this. So if you think you're all buddies and everything is chummy, it's not. He's letting you know you're in the land of your enemies, and he's going to bring us back out of these lands. Okay, now verse 17 reads, and there is hope in thine end, saith the Lord, that thy children shall come again to their own border. All right, so once again, we will be returned. You can go ahead and read the whole chapter, okay, and kind of get a hold of this, but and get a better understanding of it. But we will be returned back onto those lands. All right. Uh, Not everyone will. Okay. Only a percentage of us will, but we will be returned nonetheless. So keep that in mind. Uh, Now let's go to Jeremiah 31. That way we can cover this covenant, because you know this New Testament. There's no New Testament. There's a new covenant. Okay, there's a new covenant, and that has not been fulfilled yet. Okay, but there's no New Testament. All the prophets and the children of Israel have already paid, been a testament, or attested to everything that the Most High needed them to attest to. Okay, there's nothing new pertaining to that. Okay, but what is new is that new covenant. And once again, remember, the Most High does nothing unless He reveals it to His prophets first. Okay, so if you don't hear it from the prophets, if you didn't hear it from the Most High Himself, it's nonsense. Okay, so now let's look at what He does say pertaining to anything that's new, especially His new covenant. All right. Now let's go ahead and start off with Jeremiah 30. Let's go to 31 verse 28. All right, and it reads, "It shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, saith the Lord." So while we were being busted in the head, and we still are, okay, He has watched over us during all these times. And you know that's a painful thing, okay? But at the same time, He took joy in it to do it to us, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, just as He's watched over us to render this punishment and see it through, so will He watch over us to see us prosper and get through it. Okay, so this is not a one-sided street here. All right. Now, 29 reads, verse 29. Jeremiah 31, verse 29. "In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are on edge." If you eat too many grapes or anything that's sour, if you were to like kind of inhale some air, your teeth feels really weird. Okay, it's called being on edge. So what this is saying here is that the kids can't eat sour grapes, or the parents eat sour grapes, and the children's teeth be on edge. In other words, you will not pay for the sins of your fathers. Okay, right now what we're going through is, for what has been done by our forefathers in the past, we are paying that price. Okay, we're paying the price for that. Okay, so with common sense, you know good and well, if we are paying the price right now, because I've never made a golden calf and break dance to it or anything of that sort. Okay, so you know good and well, if we're still paying for the shortcomings of our forefathers, no one came and died for our sins, because we're still paying for those sins today. Okay, so you keep that in mind when you start thinking some other savior came and died for you someplace. Okay, it never happened. All right, so now it says here, verse 30, "But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth the sour grapes, his teeth shall be set on edge." Okay, so you're gonna pretty much gonna bear your own sin and your own responsibility. No one can die for you. Okay, that's what's gonna come down to. But right now, though, right now, okay, for what has been done in the past, the seed is paying the price, generation upon generation, until we turn back. Okay, so now verse 31 of Jeremiah 31 reads, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant," new covenant, okay, "with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah." Northern kingdom, southern kingdom. The whole thing is Israel, okay? So this new covenant He's making is not with the world, it's not with China or anything like that. It's with His bloodline. It is with the house of Israel. Period. Okay, this is not a covenant with the whole world, a covenant with everybody. Doesn't exist. Make a new covenant with Israel. Period. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, what is this new covenant he's going to make? This new covenant that he will make is simple. Instead of us going through this book to understand his word, the house of Israel and the house of Israel only will have this word in their hearts and minds. And anyone else that wants to learn it, guess what? We're going to teach it to them. It's simple as that because they never got the laws in the first place. Okay? So, in order for them to get to the Father, they have to go through the Son. Who are the sons? And that son, the house of Israel. So, we're going to have to teach it to them. All right? So, as far as running around and cussing people out, I really don't know what that's about. But what most Israelite camps need to do is spend the time teaching their people. All right, not going cussing out other nations. That is to no benefit to us. What we must do is to uplift and teach our people the hope of that greater end that's coming for us. Okay, there's hope for us. All right. Now, I see the need also. You want to go out and tell the other nations what they've done and throw it in their face because this man is to be exposed for what he has done. So, maybe there's some merit in that. But as for me, I'd rather spend the time educating our young men and our people exactly who they are, what they've been through, and for them to really much start. Look, you need to look at this a second time. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. Okay, you look at the facts, read it, study it, and you make a decision, and it's on you. Not trying to convert you, switch you over, nothing like that. Just so you start thinking about it, reading and studying, and not taking everything wholesale what you've been told. Okay, go in this book and actually read it and study it for yourself and follow these laws. All right. So once again, let's go with Jeremiah 31, verse 31. Get a sip. All right, and it reads, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, and I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Verse 32. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. We broke that covenant, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. This is this new covenant. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. So, your inward parts, that's your heart and your mind. That's the reason it's going to be written in there. Okay, so there's going to be no need for a printed book. We're not there yet. That new covenant has not arrived yet. Hence, I've got this book in my hand. Okay, 34, verse 34 reads, And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more. So all of our sins, once we return unto these laws, washed away. Not washed away in some blood of some lamb someplace. All right? You got to read this book. You're getting this madness. You listen to this madness this man is telling you. Okay? Once again, let me reread that for clarity. This is the new covenant when the words of the Most High will be placed in the hearts and minds of Israelites, not the whole world. Okay? The whole world is going to have to come to Israelites to get this knowledge because this is our wisdom to the nations. Okay? Once again, Jeremiah 31, verse 34, And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me. They all means Israel. From the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, that's sin, and I will remember their sin no more. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name, not Jesus. Let's get that clear. Okay. Now, verse 36 is how serious he is about this thing, this new covenant. If those ordinances depart from me, from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So, black people, worldwide, scattered, wearing another man's name, speaking another man's language, and following that same man's God, you are a nation of people. So says your God. So I know they try to tell you you're not all the same, and you're all mixed up, and you're Jamaican, and you're this, and you're that, and whatever, giving you all these different nationalities. They can tell you what they want to tell you, but your God says you are a nation. That's singular. You're one group of people. You're all the same group of people. Speaking some weird languages, I know, and following some weird customs. Okay? You know, some of you down in the West Indies, you know, you got the Obia man. You want to go to the Obia man and have him do his Obia, and then you want to go daggone go sit in the church. You're confused. You have to make a decision. You're either going to follow the Most High or the witch doctor. You in Haiti doing the same thing. Okay, the Hispanics down throughout Central and South America. Okay, cutting off chicken heads and spilling blood everywhere and kissing crosses and all other nonsense. Okay, the Santa Maria and all that other garbage you're doing. What is it going to be? Okay, you can't do that and serve the Most High. It's not going to work. And that's what we've been doing. Okay, we're double-minded. It's not going to work that way. We have to make a decision on exactly who we're going to serve. And once again, understand, though we speak different languages and we're scattered in different parts of the earth, we are one nation. So says the Most High. Let me reread that once again for clarity. He's saying clearly, when the stars stop shining and the waves stop roaring, matter of fact, to be clearly, when this earth is no longer here, then you can actually say that he's actually turned his back on Israel. But that has not happened. So we are still a nation in his sight, though a scattered nation and a rebellious one at that. Okay, let's go ahead and redo that again. Okay, thus saith the Lord. We're at verse 35, Jeremiah 31. Which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. Okay. If those ordinances depart from before me, meaning if that stopped happening in front of him, this is the Most High speaking, saith the Lord, so you know it's him, then the seed, that's the sperm, that's the offspring, that's the lineage of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So since the earth and the moons and the sun and the stars and all of that is still here, then the seed of Jacob is still here, and the seed of Jacob is still a nation before the sight of the Most High. Hope that's clear to you. Okay? So now, let's go to, we'll cover that. Now, let's go ahead and, while we're there, let's go ahead and go to verse 37 also. Jeremiah 31, verse 37. Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and it cannot, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, it cannot, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. So, when you measure out the sea and you measure out the heavens, only then will he cast us off. And you can't do either one of those things. So guess what? Israel is still a nation, though scattered, and a rebellious one that's trying to find its way back to the Most High. So keep that in mind. Okay? So we know. Now, let's go to Jeremiah 32, verse 35. Jeremiah 32 and 35. All right. Let's read some of this false worship nonsense. Like I said before, we've got the people in Latin America doing the little false worshiping, cutting off chicken heads and all the other nonsense. Okay, you have them down in Brazil. You have more black people in Brazil. The only place you can find more black people than in Brazil is in Africa itself. Okay, uh, they have more black people, probably 100 million or more than America does. So, but they're still down there in idolatry. Okay, they're in idolatry down there, cutting off chicken heads and going out there in the water and doing all kind of funny little seances and whatever else they're doing. All idolatry. We must wake up out of these things. All right. Now, once again, we're in the same predicament because we're following past behaviors, and we have to learn from this. Excuse me. Now, Jeremiah 30, we're in 32. Jeremiah 32, verse 35. And they built high places onto Baal. I don't care to pronounce the name, I just spell it out for you. Okay? Which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire onto Molech, Canaanite deity. Okay? Like I said, you got Tamuz, Molech. You got them in here. All right? You got Baal. You go through the book, you see all these people that we were serving. Deities, fake gods that are to no benefit to the house of Israel. They can serve us no benefit, okay? Which I command them not. So he told us not to do these things. Neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. So, those of you in Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, Trinidad, Tobago, St. Kitts, the Grenadines, and all these other places where you people are, where we have been scattered, Fiji, and all the other lands of the Isles, stop cutting off chicken heads and goat heads and dancing around and getting all kind of spirits on you. It's an abomination. You're serving false, evil spirits. Find the Most High, adhere to His laws, and we can get ourselves out of this situation. But if you want to be kissing crosses down in Latin America and spilling chicken blood on stuff, trying to put spirits on people, and conjuring up spirits, these are not ways of the Most High. And that's why we're still in this predicament, because what we're doing, we're repeating past behaviors, which is the reason why we got into this mess in the first place. Okay? So leave that spirit doctor, that witch doctor, and all that other foolishness, leave it alone. All right? Especially if you're the house of Israel, you're not supposed to deal with this thing. So look in this book, find the Most High, and serve Him by following His laws. And we can change our circumstances. So says this book. We're running out of options. We've tried everything. We have tried everything. Okay. Now we've got the Hotepas. We've got the brothers who are of the independent mind. That brothers ought to just get educated. We've already discussed this with the black think tanks. We should be more educated and all these other things. All right. And actually do our own investment and be much more independent and rely more upon each other and support each other more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Look, sounds great. It all sounds great. But here's the thing: we've tried all of these things. Okay, we have tried all the black nationalists, the Black Panther Party. What else we've got? We got the Back to Africa movement, the Pan Africanism, the Marcus Garvey types. All of these methods have failed. Every last one of them. Black Muslims failed. You had a million brothers got together a couple of years ago to march. What you have right there is daggone a million brothers sitting around with 2 million sore feet because nothing got done. Okay? Nothing got done. To touch on that fact about the brothers, the Muslim brothers, let's look at this. You got to look at two sons. All right? Two sons. You have Ishmael being the firstborn. You got Isaac. Okay, you have Isaac who had Ishmael, okay, and then came Jacob. Let's look at a few things. Let me jump to Genesis real quick, because this is interesting. That we need to really take heed to some of this stuff when we hear it and see it. All right, Abraham. All right. That's not. I didn't mean to say to Jacob. We're dealing with Abraham. All right. Abraham had two sons. All right. We're gonna deal with his sons. He had Ishmael, and then he had Isaac. Okay. Now we associate Isaac with Israel, obviously. Okay. And we associate Ishmael with Arabs. Okay. Or Ishmaelites, and of which apparently Muhammad is of the Israelite family, of the Ishmaelite family. Understand, Ishmaelites, Israelites, two totally different families, two totally different families of peoples. All right, let's make this clear here. All right, number 19. Let's go to verse Genesis chapter 17, verse 19. We're just going to jump off track here for a minute so we can cover something about Muslim and Islam, the Muslim brothers. All right. And God said, Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. So the Most High only have his covenant established with one group of people, and that's through the line of Isaac. Through Isaac came Jacob, and through Jacob came the 12 tribes of Israel. Hence, here we are. Okay? Verse 20. All right, Genesis chapter 17, verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. Verse 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. So, here's what you got to ask yourself. And as for Ishmael, here's what his characteristics are. You look at chapter 16, Genesis 16, verse 12. Genesis 16, verse 12. Ishmael's characteristics. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Now, here's something that Muslim brothers need to take into consideration. You got Ishmael. All right. Clearly you got Ishmael. Clearly you got Isaac. Okay. So if Ishmael is responsible for the Arabs or of the Arab line, and Isaac is responsible for the Israelite line, which came through Jacob, okay, from Isaac to Jacob, here's the question that any man that's following Islam need to ask himself. Any black man, that is, any Israelite. Why would I, the son of the line of him whom was promised, because remember the promise was only established, the covenant was established with Isaac. Why would the promise come through my line and I'll know this and I go follow the line of him who was promised absolutely nothing? You understand that? Let me run that by you again. You are of the bloodline whom the covenant was established with. To you pertaineth all the glory of the Most High, the laws, the covenants, everything, and the kingdom pertaineth to your line. Why then would you go follow he who is of a line that isn't promised not one thing? But, oh, you're going to have a great nation. That's about it. That's all you get. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And secondly, I've had a guy that actually told me one time online that the Quran was actually an improvement upon the Bible, and that the Quran's prophets brought an improvement or something along those lines, to that effect. First of all, he clearly doesn't understand that those are two different families. Okay, and that the house of the Most High is established through Isaac. from Isaac to Jacob. And that's who the line of who the prophets came out of. He never said anything about no prophet coming out of the Ishmaelites. It never existed. No place. You can't find it. Okay, this book is written before the Quran. And a lot of what's in the Quran, you can see it directly coming out of this book. Okay, so you put it all together. If you're the son of him who is promised, why would you want to be or follow him who has actually been kicked out? He was cast out. Him and his mother was cast out. And they weren't promised anything but a great nation. So why would you want to follow him if you know that you are of the bloodline of which all the covenants were given to? That, number one, doesn't make sense. Number two, the leader of this Islamic movement that here in America, all right, he comes to you with two books, Quran in one hand, Bible in the next hand. And I hope you're smart enough to see what's going on here. Okay? So a man can't serve two masters. You can't come to me telling me about your God and you got another book in your hand. It's either going to be one or another. So don't be fooled by madness. Okay? Christians tell you, Jesus is in the Bible. Yeah, he's in the New Testament. You find me anything that says Jesus Christ anywhere spoken of by the prophets, Genesis to Malachi, I'll be impressed. You can't find it. Then you find the same Muslim individuals that say Muhammad is in the Bible. I looked through this Bible, I ain't never seen Muhammad yet. Okay? I've looked through this book of remembrance, I ain't seen Jesus Christ yet. Prophets never spoke of him. Ever. And you need to keep that in mind when they come to you with this nonsense. Okay? If the Most High didn't say it, and his prophets did not reveal it, it doesn't concern me. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't concern him. Okay? Because he has his statement, he has his stamp on these pages. Okay? So we've covered that as far as the Muslim thing. Just want to get that in there. Okay, so don't be one of those to where you're a child of the promise, following after the guy that wasn't promised a daggone thing. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. And don't let any man come to you with two books in his hand telling you anything. All right? Telling you anything. Two books, and you got two books in your hand. You got a Bible and a Quran in your hand. Which one are you serving? And you're saying they're the same. Most High said no one compared to him. No one. So you can't come to us with that nonsense, not those of us who are studying this book. So you really need to reconsider when people are coming to you with garbage. Okay, you need to reconsider this. All right. Now, let's jump back to Jeremiah, because that's where we are right now. And then we're going to finish up here with a couple more verses. Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah 32. See if we've covered this yet. Maybe we have. All right. So I'm assuming you know that some people tell you, well, the Most High has actually cast away His people, and that it's been given to some other people now to spread the word of the Most High because He cast His people away, which is garbage. Okay, you can read that clearly here if you're in Jeremiah. You can read that in Jeremiah 33, starting at verse 23, all the way through 26. Okay, so that way you know clearly that the Most High has not cast away His people at all. It has never happened. Okay, he put them in slavery now. He got us in slavery. He turned his back on us for a minute. Okay, and what he has done, he has removed our heritage from us, etc., etc. But as far as him just doing away with us, that's a no-no. Okay, and he has definitely pronounced evil against us. That's without a doubt. But we deserve it. So we keep that in mind. We understand that the Most High is not to be played with. All right, now let's cover this resurrection thing because we're still dealing with being saved and all of this other good stuff. Everyone is talking about this resurrection in 3 days, blah blah blah. Okay, now here's what you need to understand. Okay, go to Hosea 6, Hosea 6, verse 1. Let's go ahead and get to that so you can see where this resurrection stuff is coming from. Someone that read this book of remembrance real good, wrote their own book, called it the New Testament, and pulled bits and pieces out of this, what they call the Old Testament, and try to justify some idol. Okay, that's pretty much what has happened here. Let's go to Hosea 6 and verse 1. Come and let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He has smitten and he will bind us up. Okay, so therefore, he scattered us, he has torn us, okay, he has pierced us, he has done all these things to us, and he's going to be the one that's going to undo them. Okay, that's why it says here, come and let us return unto the Lord. How do we return unto him? Simple. Go through Leviticus, all the way from the beginning, from Genesis, and read through all the way to Malachi. Find these laws and adhere to them, regardless of what anyone else says. Find them, adhere to him the best you can. Okay, that's number one. Start following the laws, and you must repent. You must acknowledge your faults. Acknowledge your wrongdoings. It must be done. Okay, that's repenting. That's asking for forgiveness. Okay, and you start following these laws. Okay. Now, Hosea 6 verse 2 says, after 2 days will he revive us. Us. Not after 2 days will he revive him. Okay, us. All right, that's the house of Israel. Okay, and you will see he being used in reference to Jacob. Like he take it not to heart, he's been smitten, but he take it not to heart. Okay, this is saying that Jacob, when they speak of Jacob, they're speaking of Jacob the man and Jacob the seed of Jacob, synonymous in a singularity form. Okay, so you can kind of look at it in some verses where it's looked at in that way, and if you're not aware of what's going on, it can confuse you. Okay, but anyways, we're right here, Hosea 6, chapter 2. After 2 days, Hosea 6, verse 2, excuse me. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day, he will raise us up. So this is the only raising up that's happening. The raising up that's happening, the resurrection, if you will, is of the house of Israel. Okay? Now, and we shall live in his sight. Sure, we'll live in his sight because we're going to have dominion in the kingdom. All right? So, yeah, we will live in his sight. So, that we is the house of Israel. This is not speaking about no Jesus. So, I can't say that enough. All right? So, after 2 days and the third day, we will live in his sight. All right? So, keep all of this in mind. This is the resurrection, meaning it's an awakening. All right? Because we have been dead, walking around half asleep. All right? So now there's an awakening of the house of Israel. And this is why you're hearing what you're hearing now. Most importantly, you are seeking knowledge. Okay? So there's something in you that's caused you to come to these channels and see these videos and learn. All right? That way you can make a decision based on knowledge, not based on what you think, what you feel, what you heard, and what you have been told. You will make the decision based on what you know. Okay? So that should be clear to you. All right. Now let's finish up with two more, and then we'll wrap this up. Let's go to Jeremiah 50, verse 6 through 7. Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50. All right, Jeremiah 50, verse 6 and 7. Make sure I'm there. Good. 6 and 7. All right, now, Jeremiah 50, verse 6 reads, my people have been lost. Okay, lost. Have been lost sheep. So if we're sheep, obviously there's a shepherd someplace. Okay? Lost sheep, lambs, led to slaughter. That's what we have been. Okay. Their shepherds, your leaders, your pastors, have caused them to go astray. Astray how? Whoring after false gods. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. They have gone from mountain to hill. What does that mean? Do you know the difference between a hill and a mountain? Mountain is way up high. A hill is something you can walk over. Okay? So we have gone from dominion to servitude. Bottom of the barrel. Bottom of all nations. We're those who lay down and the other nations walk on our backs. So that's the mountain to hill that we've gone from. Okay? We've gone away backwards pretty much. All right? We have forgotten our resting place. Our resting place is in the words of the Most High, right here in these laws. All right? All that found them have devoured them. Okay? And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So the folks that's busting us over the head, they're thinking, well, it's all good. We can do them wrong because they have sinned. All right. Now, if you feel this man in Israel is the most highest people, and a lot of these Christian denominations here in America thinks that, all right. If you feel that they're those people, can you show me some records where those people were ever in slavery? Can their great grandfathers tell you that their fathers had chains on their necks? Can they do that? Can they show you where their heritage has been removed? They have always known who they are. Here's who they are. They're Czechoslovakians. They're Germans. They're Brits. They're daggone Yugoslavians. And every other nation out of Eastern Europe you could think of. In other words, these are all Caucasian people. All right, all of them. If you took Benjamin Netanyahu and stuck him in parliament and put a wig on him, he looks like the rest of them, thinks like the rest of them, and does what they do. That's why they all back each other. They're all the same people. Okay, so don't be confused by this. All right, all of these people that's moving to Israel, going to Israel, here's what you got to understand about them. They're all people of different nations in Europe. What happens is once they get to Israel, they change their names personally. They change their names. You barely got a few of them that's running around in there with their names from their original lands that they came from, Czech Republic and Hungary and all these other places. That's where these people are from. All right? Then all of a sudden they call themselves Israeli. Well, they better call themselves Israeli because they can't call themselves Israelites because Israelites they are not. Okay, so they can't show you anything where their names have been changed. They probably could, but they changed it themselves. Their heritage have not been removed. They know exactly who they are and exactly where they're from. They know this. Secondly, if you read, you know good and well that Miriam, okay, Aaron's sister, all right, Moses' sister, when they spoke bad against Moses for marrying the Ethiopian woman, what did the Most High do? He made her leprous, made her white, had her skin looking as if it was one out of the womb. You know, when a baby comes out the womb, they're pale. All right? As if one came out the womb. They said clearly, lay not this sin upon us. That I want to say that's what Aaron said. Don't lay this sin upon us. And Moses asked that his sister be returned to normal, like she was before. So if you were white, he wouldn't have made you white. You upset them. They had upset the Most High, so he made her white. Huh? So think of that. So you know good and well the people of the Most High are not white people. Period. Because if they were, you've got to think, he's not white either. Why is that? Most High is the Holy of Holies. Why would he be upset at you and curse you to be like him. If you did something to tick him off, you spoke against one of his prophets. He didn't like it. He made you white. That's one of his curses. That's what he did to Miriam. And they were horrified by it, which lets you know having that skin tone to those people were not a normal thing. Now, some folks would like to try to tell you that leprosy is something to have you deformed. Well, according to these scriptures, leprosy was not something that deformed you. It simply had your hair yellow or yellowish, and it had your skin white. That's it. So any cursing of any skin or any cursing pertaining to the skin is what was known as leprosy in the Bible in those days. And to be white was not normal. So says those passages. And you go back there and read it. Okay? So if these people are claiming to be the most high's people, with those passages alone lets you know that they're lying. And it's not so. All right, because if they were already white, he would not have made Miriam turn white. And it would not have been so horrified. Lay not this sin upon us, try to turn her back to normal. Okay? Because she was looking like one consumed that was fresh out the womb. We know what that looks like. Okay, so don't be fooled by all these people who are saying all these things about them being the people of the Most High. They're clearly not. All right, and this is going to be brought. We're probably going to see that in our lifetime. All right, they're going to be brought to shame and run up out of there. And all these people that's supporting them, they will be forced to reconsider, but they will be fearful because Israel is the battle axe of the Most High. You've got to understand that with Israel, with His people, will He break these nations. So you've got to understand that the men of Israel can turn into some supernatural beings when that spirit is put upon them. All right, so you got to keep all these things in mind. Always understand that, understand who we are and where we are and what we need to do in order to set things right. Okay, let's get back on track because we're almost done here. Did I read Jeremiah? Let me see here, 50. So we know that we have sinned against the Most High. We've covered that. Let's go to Jeremiah 50, verse 17, and we'll close out with this. Jeremiah 50, verse 17. All right. Verse 17 reads, Israel is a scattered sheep. Scattered sheep. Okay? The lions have driven him away. Notice, sheep, many, driven him. Him is pretty much speaking to the seed of Jacob, or the seed of Israel. That's the whole nation of Israel. Okay? The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones. So, you look through that New Testament, you see where they're talking about casting lots upon my vesture and have broken my bones and have pierced me and all this other things, and trying to relate this thing to some Jesus. This is all that has been done to Israel, the people. That is who the Son of the Most High is. His Son has been stripped, bones broken. All of his vestures, they have cast lots for them. Okay? As well as for the people. Okay? Understand that I've given you the protocols of the Most High in the past videos. What you have to also consider is the protocols of our enemies and what they have done. Okay? Their behavior is the same. All right? So we're able to identify them based on the characteristics the Most High has given us in these books. They're sword carriers. They're killers. They're killers. They're liars. They're murderers. And they're thieves. Okay? And you can identify them through their behavior. Now, let's just kind of look at a few of their characteristics. Look at the lands once they have stolen them, what they have done. Okay? They have stolen lands by means of killing and murdering people. We know this to be a fact. We're victims of that. And then they take the lands that they have stolen, and then they cast it out for prey. As a matter of fact, let me go straight to, let's go to Joel 3 to make that clear. Okay, then they cast this land out for prey. All right. When they say cast out for prey, this is what I mean by this. All right. They have done it in Americas, in the Americas. They have done it in Brazil, and they've done it in many other nations, and they have done the same thing in Israel. Remember, these are all the same people. Excuse me. So now, you come and you steal a land, and you kill some people, and you took possession of it. But you see that these people are, maybe they outnumber you. So what you do is you get other people that look like you to come into that land, and you give them incentives to do it. Hey, come to America. We will give you XYZ amount of dollars and XYZ amount of land for you to come here and live. And so they cast a land that does not belong to them out as prey for those who look like them. All right. Same thing is done down in Brazil. You have taken the children of Israel down to Brazil as slaves, and the children of Israel outnumbered their slave masters. And so what was done was that they caused all the other European nations, they allowed them to come into Brazil scot free. Just walk on in here and take XYZ land, and we'll even give you money to do it. So we are not outnumbered by these people. All right. So this has been their technique and their tactic for a very long time. And then they put immigration laws in place to where, if you notice, these European nations, they can walk in and out each other's borders no problem. Let someone that looks like me and you try to do it, and watch what happens. They put it to a halt. So even down in Brazil, they did it to where you couldn't immigrate there if you weren't of European persuasion. You understand? And then they try to dilute the children of Israel, dilute their blood by making it a habit of mixing the children of Israel with the Europeans. That in itself is a sin. And you can look through the book and find that in so many places that make your head spin. Okay, we're not supposed to mix with these people in that manner. Okay, but most of us don't know this. I didn't know it till I started studying the book. I was of the mindset that we're all the same, though I could clearly see that we weren't all the same. And I knew that I wasn't treated, nor are we as a whole treated the same. Okay, so these are things that we look at this clearly and we see exactly what's going on. Okay, we look at this man, look at his track record, look at his behavior. Okay, uh, and let's read Joel 3 to kind of get a bead on exactly what has happened here. All right, Joel 3, let's kick it off with verse 1. Joel 3, Joel chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. He didn't say I will plead with them for the whole world. For my people and for my heritage. We are his heritage. That's why his heritage was discontinued. That is us. But we don't know who we are. And he said clearly, he will bring all nations and he will plead with them in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Now, some of you, you think to plead is some kind of negotiation with these people. He's not going to negotiate with them. He's going to kill them. Okay? So that's what you have to understand. When the Most High said he's going to plead with all flesh, this is by no means a conversation. Okay? This is not a conversation. This is not a negotiation or anything of that sort. To plead with them is to kill them. Let's go to Isaiah 66 and 15. That's 66, 16 in Isaiah. That should clear that up. Let's go to Isaiah 66, 16. Let's get a bead on what, or get an understanding of what to plead means. All right. Isaiah 66, verse 16. For by fire and by sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So when he's pleading, He's killing. And you need to get a grip on that. Some of you think the old God is not going to kill. He killed women, babies, women with babies. Go ahead and go against him and see what happens. Okay, so you keep that in mind. If you think that make the Most High out to be some chump, some Santa Claus type figure, not so. Okay, so here we are once again, verse 2, Joel 3. I will also gather all nations, that's all nations, okay, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So you got to think, who scattered the people of the Most High among the nations? Who parted the lands of the Most High? Whoever did these things, and you know who they are, he's going to get you. He's out to get them, and he's going to get them. All right. So once again, they scattered his people. That's us. And they parted his land. They divvied it up. But they have done so to all the lands of the earth, the same group of people. All right. And so you know what their fate is, because he's going to let you know right here. Okay. He says here, and they have cast lots for my people. So in case you lost and don't know what he's trying to say, he's letting you know who these people are that he's about to get. All right. So these people, they cast lots for his people. To cast lots is an auction, i.e., a slave auction. Okay, so took the Most High's land. That's why it says, hey, they have taken the house of the Most High in their possession. They have. If you want to learn about God or anything like that, who do you see? Who's the picture of? Who runs all the seminary schools? This man has taken the Most High's house in his possession. You understand? He's also scattered the people of the Most High, and he's cast lots for the people of the Most High. He sold them as slaves in all these different lands. Okay? Okay, verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Give a boy for a harlot. It's like studying a guy out. Okay? Stud him out. Let him have babies. All right? We need more slaves. Let this male have a bunch of babies. He ain't got to take care of them. It's been done to us. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return upon your recompense? Will I return your recompense upon your own head? So there's going to be some retribution for what was done to us. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. So we have been robbed by these people. We have been stripped by these people. And all the goodly and pleasant things of the Most High, they stole it. They stole it, including the scriptures. Because they took the Most High house into their possession. Took his pleasant things, scattered his people, sold them as slaves. All right, stud out the boys, raped the women. Are you with me? And he's going to gather them together, all these nations, and kill them for this. Really, that's simple. It's right here. All right. So if you think there's justice, you haven't seen justice yet till it's served your way. Okay. Now, next it says here, verse 5, Joel 3. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. Yeah, sold unto these Greeks, that ye might remove them far from their borders. Behold, I will raise them out of the places where ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. So therefore, we are being raised up, being brought to remembrance in all these lands where we have been sold as slaves in servitude. And he's going to return these people's recompense upon their own head. Their fate is not looking good. Read the book of Obadiah. It'll tell you all about it. And I will sell your sons. That's verse 8. What goes around comes around, but it comes around, it's going to be double. And I will send your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to all and to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. All right. So keep these things in mind when you're, maneuvering and reading through the book. Understand that the Most High is just. We're not to go around hating anyone, because all of the revenge, He's going to do it. All right. And besides, what this man has done, he was made to do to us. It is part of a punishment. So we're not to seek any type of retribution for that at all. What we're to do is to seek the Most High, follow His laws, and to teach it to our kids, and to remove ourselves from the customs of the heathens that we've been placed among. We're not to follow their ways and their customs. We're not to do it. Okay, so remove yourself from that foolishness. Don't go around cussing people out. It's a waste of time. All right? Why would you cuss a man out? What you need to do is cuss yourself out. All right? Because if we had not done the things we had done and our forefathers have not done it, then we wouldn't be in this position in the first place. Okay, so what we need to do is pretty much take this time to study, to fast, read, pray, repent, get an understanding of these laws and who we are, understand why we're here. Okay, once we do all of these things, then easily we will put back in the position in which we're supposed to be. All right, and all the vengeance and all the other stuff, Most High will handle that. He will take care of that end. Okay, it's not for you to worry about. He will take care of that. So don't spend the time teaching hate or preaching hate to anybody. All right, but do tell this truth. Okay, now when you start speaking of this, some folks may want to call you a hateful person and a racist and whatever else they may want to call you. But at no time have we ever put any laws in place to keep people who don't look like us below us. We've never done it. We have never done it. We've never been in a position to do such a thing. And we have not done it. Okay, so for someone to accuse you of being racist or anything like that when you're coming out of this book, then they have to show you where you have done things to support, to speak on, number one, where you've used derogatory terms for a group of people, and where you have ever supported laws or put laws into place that has kept you above any specific group of people. I don't know at any time where we have done such a thing and still have laws on the books to this day that can prove that we have done such a thing. Okay, so keep all these things in mind. Once again, you've been slapped with the truth. I think this has been enough for today. And this, once again, with this lesson, this is for you to understand when you start thinking about I'm saved, you got to ask yourself, saved by whom and saved from what? Okay? Because the Most High lets you know clearly you can save yourself by returning to these laws. That's your halfway point. That's where you got to meet Him there. Okay? So He's not just saving you just because. All right? You're going to be given a decision. You're going to be given some information. You have to make a decision, and your decision will determine whether you're saved or not. Save yourself, O Zion. So ain't no Savior coming to get you. So when you start saying you're saved, you better really, really research that and be certain of exactly what you're talking about. Because if you're saying you're saved from some blood, from some lamb, someplace, and you're of the house of Israel, you got to realize you are the lamb. You are the sheep. Okay? So you keep all these things in mind. Once again, you've been slapped, Israel Shalom. Once again, consider all that you hear and all that you read and pray for clarity and understanding. All right? Shalom, Israel Shalom.